In Iowa, the House of Representatives has passed a series of gun rights bills, one of which is controversial. It's allowing children of any age to handle a firearm with the supervision of a parent. Until now, it's been children over 14 allowed to do so. And this bill would essentially make it okay for you to hand a 2-year-old a gun, as long as your parents were overseeing that. Nothing bad could happen there in that situation, because the parent's overseeing it. No accident could happen.
Right. No, I gotcha. Yeah. So, okay, so any age.
Any age. So it would allow children under 14 to handle handguns under a parent's supervision. So that's any child, any age. Here's a gun. Get used to that. Get comfortable with that. Because we know accidents never happen when children get their hands on firearms.
Yes, and this has been passed.
It's been passed by the House. Now it goes on to the Senate in Iowa to see if it passes there. It's been passed by bipartisan support. There's been a handful of Democrats critical of the move, and it remains to be seen whether or not it passes through the Senate there. But the controversy is, of course,
So what's the thinking here? Help me out. Again, I'm coming at this from a non-gun ownership culture. The idea being is that the quicker you can get your hands on the gun, the quicker you're going to be trained, so the safer you'll be. Is that the logic?
Essentially, it's just removing a restriction that's already in place.
But why? Why does so come back. Why does a 2-year-old who can't even wipe his own bottom, his or her own bottom, can't even blow their own nose, why do they need to have a handgun put in their hand?
Well, the argument would be because to take away that right is a restriction that's unconstitutional. That's the argument. Because the Constitution says shall infringe, not infringe. You know what I'm saying. The argument, and of course, this agenda is pushed by the NRA and gun rights advocates have been pushed through, and for the most part, no argument there. But when it comes to let's find a way to make it totally okay to put a gun in the hands of any child without restriction, there does not seem to be logic behind it.
No. This is in spite of the fact the American Association of Pediatrics came out with a report some years ago that advocated the removal of guns from the home where there are children. Not the locking up, not the safekeeping, the removal. Period. The end. Removal. Now, this is something that's going 180 degrees in the opposite direction, advocating, actively encouraging children, of toddlers to be able to handle them.
Encouraging parents to put guns in the hands of children. And this is not being opposed very widely. Again, this is bipartisan support passing through the House in Iowa. But Kirsten Running Marcotte said this. She's a Democrat state representative in Iowa. She said, "We do not need a militia of toddlers. We do not have handguns that I'm aware of that fit the hands of 1 or 2-year-old." So point well taken.
Right.
We saw the.
But sorry, hang on a second. The fact I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna line myself up here to be shot down. Pardon the pun. But the fact that that's an argument that she even needs to make is staggering to me.
Gun rights advocates would say any law that prohibits or restricts the right is unconstitutional. So therefore, they're sort of undoing something that was on the books.
Where does responsibility, help me out, and I don't know the answer, where does responsibility come into your rights under the Constitution? Where do you get to be, you have to be a responsible citizen, because with rights comes responsibility and accountability as a citizen, so it's not unfettered.
And a parent, quite frankly, putting a handgun in a child's hand, it's irresponsible as a parent, not only for your own safety, but for the safety of your child or your other children, because these accidents happen on a daily basis.
Gun deaths in this country are already 11 times more likely. If you're an age between 5 years and 14 years old in this country, you're already 11 times more likely to die from a self-inflicted or gunshot wound than in any other country in the developed world. So it's already through the roof. So you think that actively legalizing the putting into the hands of that very same group is going to make things better?
Well, Jake Highfield, the Republican state representative from Iowa, says you're missing the whole point. He says this: "You're missing the whole point of the bill. I think this is one of the best bills we've done for Second Amendment rights.
Wow.
That's the whole point of the bill.
Who's funding his re-election? That's what I want to know.
Very interesting question. I have to imagine that there's some NRA support.
And this is what it comes down to, Mark, every time. It comes down to money and influence, and it's a racket. And it's a racket for the NRA because they're a for-profit organization that wants to maintain their ascendancy. And they're very happy to lobby, and the various representatives, lawmakers, legislators are very happy to be lobbied.
Yeah, and we only have to bring this picture up the last picture we had up there to remind people of the horrible incident that happened at a firing range, a trained instructor instructing a 9-year-old girl in firing an Uzi. He was killed because she could not handle the recoil of the Uzi, and it went back and ended up shooting him in the head. It wasn't even a ricochet. The gun recoiled backwards and shot him in the head. Because she could not handle the recoil of an Uzi.
And that was in a safe environment with a professional trainer.
Yeah. So let's have parents put weapons into the hands of infants. That'll go real well.
What I mean, do you still? I mean, what about being a kid? What's with as a parent? Don't you want kids to still be kids? There's some mystique there, isn't there? Some, do you really want to give them everything from the age of 2?
Yes, the people who support this move would say, yes, we want to teach our kids from a very early age how to handle weapons and be responsible. That's the argument. Right. That is the argument. Although a weapon is not sized for a child, and it definitely is, power is not sized for a child either.